evening. I call to order this meeting of the Washington County Board of Education. We have 6 members present tonight and our student representative, so I do declare that we have a quorum. And at this time, I would like to introduce Abby Vo. Abby is a 4th grade student at Eastern Elementary School, and Abby is here this evening to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. So, Abby.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Abby, would you like to stay up at the microphone? Abby, 4th grade at Eastern Elementary School, correct?
Yes.
And when we were talking before the meeting, you told me that you would like to share with us your favorite subjects in school?
Yes. My favorite subjects in school right at this time is math and reading.
Math and reading. That's wonderful. And what kind of books do you like to read, Abby?
I like to read Rumpelstiltskin and like fairy tale books.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I noticed that you have a full front row there with you this evening.
Yes.
There's some folks there that you'd like to introduce.
Yes, I would like to introduce my mom, Shelley Vo, and all my siblings, Betsy, Ethan, Nathan, and Jonathan.
Very nice.
Mrs. Bowe, you have a beautiful family, and thank you so much for coming out tonight and bringing Abby. Abby, thank you for leading us this evening, and good luck to you at Eastern. At this time, we'll have approval of tonight's agenda.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stauffer. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of tonight's agenda? Okay, 6 affirmative votes, and the student member concurs.
Madam President, I move for the approval of the closed session minutes dated Tuesday, March 5th, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Gaspard. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections to that set of minutes? No? Okay, all those in favor? All right, that's 6 affirmative votes.
Madam President, I move for the approval of the business meeting minutes dated Tuesday, March 5th, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Gaspard. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Okay, the vote is on the minutes. All those in favor? Okay, that's 6 affirmative votes, and the student member concurs. Thank you, Mr. Gaspard. At this time, we'll have the superintendent's report, the first section of it.
Thank you, President Williams. Tonight, we're very excited. We have 3 presentations we'd like to make. This is National Music in Our Schools Month, and I'm going to ask Dr. Miles to come forward in just a minute to share just briefly about what that means. And then we have quite a few of our state choral and band students here. We're going to introduce them a little bit. Also, I'm going to ask Mr. Eric Michael to come forward and announce our state champions. We'll recognize them in a few minutes. And then Karen Kramer and Robin Handler will be sharing some information about our FAFSA scholarship winners. So with that, Dr. Miles, if you would just share briefly about National Music in Our Schools Month and pass the mic on to Eric and then to Karen, and then the board members, I'll invite you down front, and we'll receive our students at that time. Dr. Miles?
A growing body of research supports the notion that sustained and sequential music instruction benefits not only a student's mind, but also their character in ways that are often difficult to assess through traditional means. In celebration of Music in Our Schools Month, we have an opportunity this evening to recognize our highest achieving secondary music students. through highly competitive auditions involving thousands of students from across the state. These students you'll meet this evening have earned the opportunity to perform in a Maryland All-State Ensemble. Truly a high honor. Congratulations to all of them.
Thank you, Dr. Wells. Mr. Michael?
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight the state champions from this past winter's athletic season. Tonight we have 3 teams that we're going to recognize, as well as several individual champions. We have 2 teams, 2 bocce teams from Boonesboro High School, and this is our 10th year since the start of Unified Sports. Bocce was the first sport in Washington County that we did, so this is our 10-year anniversary for Unified Sports in Washington County, which is a nice milestone. The way bocce or Unified Sports works, to have 2 teams from one school represented is not unusual, because what happens with Unified Sports is they take the ability levels of the students and divide them up on like abilities and put them in divisions that way. So with this year's Boonesboro team, Boonesboro teams, we've had multiple teams advance to the states before, but this is unique this year because we have 2 state champions from one school and a Unified Sport, which is the first time ever for Washington County. The 2 teams we have is Team 1 for Boonesboro Team 1. They were the Division I state champions this year, and then Boonesboro Team 2 was the Division II champions this year. We also have the indoor track team from Boonesboro High School, boys indoor track team. They were the 1A state champions this year. They are a very good team. They have several individuals. They had a relay team as well as 2 other individuals as individual champions. But what truly was, I would say this is truly a team championship this year, because while they didn't have multiple champions in various different events, they basically did the best they could in placement strategy, and Coach Walter does a great job with that. So they got as many points as they could without utilizing individual state champions, which is a testament to the team. They are a 3-time state champion, repeat, so that's very good. So you guys have seen them the last several years. And also, they're truly an academic team with a 3.36 GPA. So congratulations to them. And then we also have individual champions from Boonesboro teams that we'll introduce, as well as we have individual champions from South Hagerstown tonight. They are the 3A champions. South Hagerstown participates in 3A for our sports. Tonight we will have a relay team for South High, as well as a high jumper that we'll introduce. And then we did have 2 other additional from North Hagerstown High School. We had a young lady who was a pole vault champion, and then we had a young man that was a shot put champion this year. So we'll be introducing those individuals in a moment.
I think we have Robin yet.
Good evening. The FAFSA is the financial aid form for accessing grants, federal student loans, and work-study funds. Filling out the free application for federal student aid, known as the FAFSA, is one of the most important steps students and their families can take to pay for college and technical schools. The FAFSA gives you access to $150 billion in grants, loans, and work-study funds that the federal government has available. As of March 8th, over 725 WCPS 12th graders have completed FAFSA applications. Students who completed their FAFSA by March 1st will be eligible for the new Community College HCC Promise Pathway Program, guaranteed access grants, and other Maryland scholarship opportunities. The WCPS Education Foundation have dedicated time and resources to promote FAFSA and assist students and families in FAFSA completions. We value our continued partnership. I would like to introduce Karen Kramer, the WCPS Education Foundation Executive Director.
Thank you, Robin. The FAFSA Frenzy program started in 2014. In the past 5 years, the Washington County Public School Education Foundation has recruited dedicated program volunteers spending over 550 hours with Washington County students and has paid out almost $10,000 in scholarships to Washington County students. We very much appreciate the support of this year's program sponsors, Hagerstown Community College, University System of Maryland, Hagerstown, the United Way Community Impact Grant, and Antietam Broadband. Dr. Michael.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask the board members to go down front, and we'll recognize our winners.
So at this time, I would, through a random drawing of names, the 2019 FAFSA scholarship winners, each winning a $500 scholarship, are here tonight. So I would like to call up Asia Marie Carbaugh from South Hagerstown High. Kobe Fink from Hancock High School. And Wyatt Roth. Are you here, Wyatt? Thank you. Great. Come on up. So stand here. We're going to have our treasurer from the Washington County Foundation, Education Foundation Board, Beth Moore's here. We're going to do a quick photo. We're going to have you three stand up here and hold this check since you'll each have a part of it someday. Yep, come on to the center. Hold it low enough. You're fine. Don't have to stand tall and proud.
Take a smile, 0, 3, 1, 2, 3. Take another one, 1, 2, 3.
And now we get to meet our state champions. The first team we're going to introduce tonight is the Boonesboro Bocce Team 1. Here you go, Brady. Brady Weaver. Here you go, Brady. You shake it. Garrett Single. Garrett. Faith Garachi. Grace O'Barry. And McKenna Lugier. And head coach Andrea Perry. And assistant coach Rebecca Bear. And that is Boonesboro Team 1, bocce champions for Division 1. Guys want to come up and get a photo?
There you go. Perfect. All right, good smiles on 3, 1, 2, 3. Take another one on 3, 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
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 All right, and Division II champions, Boonesboro Team 2. Andrew Himes. Or as he's known in Boonesboro, Andrew Big Time Himes. Daniel Smith. Jake Hummel. And Taylor Shank. And this team is also coached by head coach Andrea Perry and assistant coach Rebecca Baer.
All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Great, congratulations.
Stay still.
Okay, congratulations.
Okay, and now our boys 1A indoor state champions. And again, this is third year in a row for this team. First up, we have Billy Anderson. Logan Arnold. Tyson Balestri. Charlie Konecki. Connor Lawrence. Eric Montgomery. Cole Reed. Aiden Sailing. Henry Schmidt. Nathan Tribet. Head coach Becky Walter. Assistant coach Sean Cutso.
Take a smiles on 3. 1, 2, 3. Can we get another one? 1, 2, 3.
Hold still, in case you got any parents. All right, congratulations.
Okay. We're going to shift gears here. We're going to let the individuals stay up here, and I'll read their names, so individual champions. Boonesboro has Meet the Warrior Night tonight as well, so these guys are trying to get back to the school for their spring sport to be introduced tonight. So Boonesboro, I said they had a relay team. They had a 4x800 meter relay team. That was the 1A champions. On that team was Joey Brennan, Billy Anderson. Billy, wave your hand. Tyson Balestri. Donovan McClellan. Donovan is not here with us tonight. Donovan was also the 800 meter run champion, running at a time of 2 minutes, 1A champion. And then Henry is in the middle. Henry Schmidt was our 3,200 meter relay, or excuse me, 3,200 meter run champion. That's a 2-mile run in 10 minutes and 9 seconds. So congratulations to these guys. Individual champions from Boonesboro High School. Okay, and our last group that we have with us tonight, South Hagerstown High School, we have individual champions from their school. They, as I said, participated in 3A indoor track championship this year. We had a 4x200 meter relay team consisting of Larry Barnes, Devin Campbell, and Gasul Koulibaly. Kalia Booker was the fourth member of this team, is not with us this evening. This relay team set a Washington County record with a time of 1 minute 32 seconds for the 4x200. And on the girls' side, we had a 3A individual champion in the high jump, Lanisha Chance. Lanisha won with a jump of 5 foot 3 inches. We have coaches with, the head coach is Dwayne Freeman that is here with us tonight. And Aaron Kelly. Aaron Kelly is also assistant coach. These individuals were part of, South High won the team championships for the county, and boys and girls this year.
Great, big smiles.
Right here on three, ready, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Good job.
I just want to mention, I said North Hagerstown had two. Clara, I'm going to say DeSocius, she was the girls pole vault champion for 3A with a jump of 10 feet. And Nicholas McCoy was the boys shot put champion with a throw of 49 feet 7 inches. So congratulations to them as well.
And now we have our all-state ensemble members here. We're going to introduce them as, they're divided into 2 levels. There's 7, 8, and 9, so that's the junior all-state ensembles, and then 10, 11, and 12 grade levels. and that's how they compete across the state for placement in these ensembles. All-State Junior Band, Evan Turner, Williamsport High School. All-State Junior Choir, Jenna Rockwell from Barbara Ingram, and Noah Michael, also from Barbara Ingram. Yeah.
All right, on three, one, two, three. One more, one, two, three.
In the senior division, let's say, Hannah Miller, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. This is all-state mixed. Nope, I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. All-state senior band. Yes, we have a string of 4 young gentlemen here. They are Gabe Evans from Barbara Ingram. Travis Konoski, also from Barbara Ingram. Jacob Miner from Williamsport High School. And Logan Ritchie from Barbara Ingram. These are all-state senior band members. Aaron, want to bring all the all-staters? No, we'll separate them this way. Yeah, let's do that.
On three, one, two, three. One more, one, two, three.
So let's see if we have any parents. All right, congratulations.
All-state mixed choir. This is a senior ensemble. Hannah Miller, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Caleb Aldridge, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Olivia Powell, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Rachel Shaw, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Eliza Baranowski, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts, appears to not be with us this evening. Yes. Jared Shea, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Kathleen Harmening Gomez, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Layla Glenn, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. And Bethany Norris, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Keep it coming? Yeah. All right. All-State Treble Choir. Chloe Ward, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Casey Allison, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Madeline Ortiz, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Emma Ortiz, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Maureen Rafter, Williamsport High School. Aria Smith, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Charisse Grant, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. And Annette Martineau, Barbara Ingram School for the Arts. Truly a tremendous accomplishment because these kids, like I said earlier, thousands of students from across the state compete for spots in these ensembles, and these kids earned it themselves in competitive auditions. Great job. I guess I could talk while they're taking a picture. We also have some teachers here. Melissa Mackley, Barbara Ingram, Michelle Rafter, still with us? She was here.
Well, that took care of the crowd pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's about 10. My wife's groups go inside to about 10 tickets. They're all paying us back, but like $250 or whatever. Plus everyone over here.
Eric, give them no seats in the house to like,
Kind of exciting park center. This is that's not boring.
As good as it gets.
Yeah.
President, that completes this part of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. And again, congratulations to all. At this time in our meeting, we have public comment. I don't have a sign-up sheet here up front. Is there anyone who would like to come forward at this time for comment?
Ask back to the floor if they want to talk.
Dave, you want to talk? Come on, somebody come up.
We'll move on. We'll move on to old business. And we have no old business this evening, so that brings us then to new business. Mr. Bakel, you're the first on the agenda for new business.
Good evening, President Williams, members of the board, Dr. Michael. Tonight, I have 5 items for your review. These items were reviewed by our Purchasing Review Committee and are being recommended for approval. And staff is available if you have any additional questions.
Mr. Bakel, is there a motion?
Madam President,
I move to approve the awards, renewals, and procurements for professional auditing services to Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC at a cost of $45,500. Office paper and envelopes renewal to Veritiv at the unit prices listed. Chromebooks to CDWG at a cost of $109,191.90. Internet service to Antietam Broadband at a cost of $89,523.36 per year for a 5-year term, and to delegate approval authority of the bids for electric supply services to the selection committee that will report their decision at a future meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stauffer. Any questions or any discussion? No? All right, then we'll move to the vote. The vote is on tonight's consent agenda as read by Mr. Bickford. All those in favor? Okay, we have 6 affirmative votes, and the student member concurs. Thank you. Our next item under consideration is the Board of Education's FY 2020 General Fund Operating Budget. Good evening, Mr. Prue, Mr. Brandenburg.
Good evening.
Madam President, we have staff available to respond to any questions from the board members regarding the general fund budget for FY20. As the board's aware, we presented the draft superintendent's budget to the board on February 5th. We shared the information that we had available at the time on February 26th with the county commissioners. On March 5th, your last board meeting, we took public comment, as well as we heard from the Budget Advisory Review Committee. We haven't received any additional comments to provide the board at this time. We are recommending that you adopt your draft budget and continue to seek $1.87 million from the Board of County Commissioners to support your proposed budget. The budget allows for expansion of our pre-K program to 1,345 seats. We'd encourage all parents of children of 4-year-olds, I think that are 4 by the time September 1st rolls around, to enroll your child in pre-K at your local school. There's information there on how to enroll, and you can just contact your local school. We've seen tremendous results as a result of the implementation of our pre-K program so far this past couple of years. We would be expanding this by 400 additional seats, and we're hoping to see those same results as we move forward with kindergarten readiness. Your budget also provides for 10 counselors/social workers. We'll have a combination of those across the county, 18 paraprofessional positions to support needs of all of our students in the county, 3 additional English learner teachers for our English language learners. It also supports an expansion and support for our technology department to support our one-to-one initiative throughout the county. Also, the budget has in it enough resources to fund 2 additional resource officers. We would encourage the county commissioners to place that funding in the sheriff's office budget, and we'd like to see the resource officer program be shifted to the sheriff's budget in the future. I know there's been a lot of discussion about Kerwin. We are following the Kerwin legislation carefully at the state level. We may have adjustments to our budget as time moves forward, but right now, Kerwin is certainly far too uncertain what's going to happen with that to rely on that in any manner. And at this time, staff would be glad to respond to any questions, but we'd be seeking your approval to adopt your draft budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the Board of Education's FY 2020 General Fund Operating Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ridenhour. Is there any discussion? Any questions?
Williams, I do have a statement I'd like to read. After listening to principals, teachers, and parents concerned about the horrible stories of uncontrollable students that are entering our system starting at the pre-K level and throughout all grades within our school system, I have to hit the pause button to ask the question, why are we adding more students that we know are going to continue to add to the assault on our teachers, staff, and other students? I know not all students that enter our school have issues and become great students and wonderful young men and young ladies. We also know we are seeing more and more with troubled home life that follow them to school. We all know bullying has been around forever, and I don't believe we will ever get rid of all of it. I do believe we have an obligation to our community to do everything possible to stop and educate our students that continue to bully in our schools today. We have to provide a safe environment for learning for all students, and we need to be able to protect our teaching staff, parapros, and anyone else who is within our buildings at all times. Today, we are being asked to vote on the balanced budget that would increase staffing, but more so increase the student population of pre-K. We are having a hard time wrapping our thoughts around how to control out of control preschoolers who have disciplinary issues at home along with no social skills. We have elementary students who are assaulting teachers, parapros, other staff with their fists biting, yelling obscenities, placing fear in staff and other students. This is not just bullying. This is a mental health issue. We are not set up to fix all these mental health issues. We are a school system for learning. We are not fixing the problem, but we, in my opinion, are adding to the crisis and putting ourselves and our staff into a dangerous corner. If we cannot protect our staff and other students now, how can we do so with the adding of more students to our roles? We can't fix every student coming into preschool, but we can choose not to take every child and become a sitting service for parents who have no desire to discipline their children at home. Where is the happy medium? We know they will be our responsibility sooner than later, but we can't raise 4-year-olds and teach the rest. Teachers are stressed, exhausted, frustrated with the lack of discipline in the classroom. Morale is low. They're overwhelmed. They are given more work to fix problem students. Data-driven paperwork. Our workforce is leaving at mind-boggling rates when we have a teacher shortage. They are afraid to voice their concerns to leadership because they perceive retaliation, bullying within our system. When we can't control our families within our house, we have no business inviting guests to add to the chaos of our home. Adding more students without lowering the classroom teacher to student ratio will be an issue. What we are doing now is not working. We want changes, we need changes. We want to make teachers happy, and this could be done by lowering the classroom size, possibly putting 2 teachers in a classroom with higher class size to team teach. Let's be outside the box. We need cheerleaders within our leadership now, upbeat, positive thinkers on ways to build up staff now before we lose all the good teachers. I feel this team of board members and our staff, Dr. Michaels, have turned every rock over looking for savings to lower our wants and to lower our ask for the county. I truly believe we have done the very best we can with this budget. But because of the increase of pre-K and the cost now, I cannot support this budget that we are given because it adds more students to the problem that we have. So for this reason, I will be voting no on this fiscal 20 budget.
Anyone else? Mrs. Murray.
Mrs. Williams, I'd just like to say that I would hope that the county commissioners would hear what Mr. Gesford has to say and fully fund this budget, because in the budget we have 10 new counselors, which would be very beneficial to our schools and to our school system. And there are other things that we need to be funded in order to help the situation that you're talking about. So I encourage the county commissioners to fully fund this budget.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray.
Just
Mr.
real
Ryder.
quickly, I think just for public knowledge, this is the budget we're voting for. It's ours now. I think that's important to know, but also it's important to know that depending on what happens with Kirtland, I think by the middle of April, we'll know a little bit more what's going on. Things could change, which would mean that probably in the first quarter, we may have some budget adjustments that are significant. So I'm hopeful, not overly optimistic, that things will work out, because it seems like quite a show down at, in the legislature right now. And I'm hopeful that we can get some things that we need from the state and the county, but I think it's going to be another month or so before we really know exactly where we are. And that could change things in this budget in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Rodman.
I just want to say that I will be supporting this budget. I taught school here in this county in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s up to 2012, and I have seen a lot of changes in the system. And there are things that teachers, administrators, ESPs have to do that you didn't have to do 30, 40 years ago. And there are restrictions put on us by the judicial branch, by legislatures, and the way you can discipline children and so forth and so on. And it's a struggle. I empathize with Mr. Gesford's viewpoint, but I think it's important that we continue on with some of the things that we're doing, like expanding pre-K, because I truly believe that pre-K will help in the future. On the other hand, having said that, I'm not so sure I'm for what the state is advocating, perhaps expanding pre-K to 3-year-olds. But 4-year-olds, I think that's a starting point, as long as pre-K is run correctly and is not just academically driven, but teaches them other social skills and how to play properly and things of that nature.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Mr. Bickford.
I will be voting yes for this budget. I want to thank Mr. Gesford for making those comments. I think they were clarified and also brought light to some of the frustrations that I hear teachers expressing. And I think one of the hard things that we all have to deal with is that our hands are tied by certain laws and by funding limitations. But I am going to support this budget because I do firmly believe that we should expand pre-K. I think that, yes, we've heard stories of children that need extra attention coming into pre-K, and I think that's a sign that we're doing the right thing, because they're already going to be ahead of the game next year, and our kindergarten classes are going to be that much better for it. We've already seen the evidence that by expanding pre-K, our kindergarten readiness scores have started to climb significantly, and I think they've proven in past presentations that the children that would not have been in pre-K, if I'm wrong, correct me, but that were in pre-K because we did some expansion last year, did significantly better on kindergarten readiness scores. And I know that was a stain on our county, that we were so low on the list for having children prepared for school. So that is why I will support this budget.
I, too, am in full support of this budget. I feel that Dr. Michael and staff have worked long and hard to come up with a conservative budget that addresses the complex needs of our students and of our system. I certainly want to acknowledge that, yes, indeed, Mr. Gesford has identified some situations that exist in our system, but I know that staff and Dr. Michael are doing all that they can do, given the constraints that they have. And I think that the budget, as presented, it's in draft form now, but with the action that we're about to take, if it's approved, it will become our budget for FY 2020. And I think it goes to great lengths to address needs that have gone unmet, pre-K being one of them. So if there are no questions or further discussion, we'll move to vote. The vote is to approve the Board of Education's FY 2020 General Fund operating budget. All those in favor? Okay, that's 5 votes. Those opposed, and 1 vote in opposition. Student member concurs with the majority. Motion carries, and we have adopted our budget for FY 2020. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the second half of the superintendent's report. Dr. Michael.
At this time, I don't believe I have any further comments this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have one here for recommendations that for Sharpsburg Elementary. Is that part?
Yes, that's next, oh, that's under me too,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought that was the next action item after superintendent's report.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
No, not a problem.
On April 3rd, almost this time last year, the board charged the FIAC committee with the challenge of coming up with a new attendance zone for the new Sharpsburg Elementary School. That committee met 6 times and looked at 8 different possibilities for redistricting various areas in the Sharpsburg, Boonesboro area, Pleasant Valley area, Fountain Rock, those types of areas to go to the new Sharpsburg Elementary School. On February 19th of this year, they presented their findings to the board with 3 recommendations. I have carefully reviewed those recommendations, including the 10 items that are required to be looked at anytime we do redistricting, what we'll do to the free and reduced meal rate, what we'll do with the ethnicity rate in the school, what we'll do with educational opportunities, those types of things, and found that those changes would be, that they're recommending would have minimal effect on any of those standards. So at this point, I am supporting the 3 recommendations from the FIAC committee. My recommendation would be that we would get copies of the superintendent's report, the FIAC report out to schools in hard copy, that our communications officer would provide direct mailing to any potentially affected areas, and that parents would have an opportunity to be heard. I believe the board has tentatively set a possible hearing date, depending upon your action, on April 16th at 6 o'clock at Boonesboro Middle School for a public hearing for individuals wishing to speak about the realignment. And I'd also recommend to the board that possibly as early as May 7th, that they would vote on the recommendations. These recommendations would not go into place until September, a year away. So there'd be more than a year to prepare for the redistricting effort. And with that, I support the recommendations of the FIAC committee.
Thank you, Bill. Dr. Michael, I have on my agenda that there's an update. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just since we have these guys here,
Absolutely.
I just want to clear up any confusion, and I did not ask this question in advance, but at a recent Boonesboro town meeting, one of the developer that is asking for approval offered to donate land for a school. At this point, that's not needed, correct? I don't mean to put you on the spot, I just read that article and.
For this redistricting, it's not needed. For long-term, there's a potential in the Boonesboro area for development to continue.
Okay.
I believe, Mr. Chriswell, one of the developments, Sycamore Run, had 103, 104 houses.
Correct.
The majority of those houses have been sold. But I think there was 1,400 to 1,500 additional sewer and water taps available for additional housing in that area. If that were to occur, we would probably need another elementary site beyond the expansion of Sharpsburg. That could be many years out in the future. I think certainly the offer potentially made, which we've heard about before but still don't have anything formalized, would be a good thing to land bank in case
Okay.
indeed those areas take off. But that does not affect the redistricting report at this point.
Got it. Yeah, I was just curious because we hadn't seen it in any of our, I know you keep very good track of what's coming down the road.
Yes, sir.
So I thought it was interesting that that came up. And I
It
guess,
was coincidental.
yeah, it was? Yeah. Okay, got it. All right, thanks very much.
That was something that we discussed in the facilities meeting, and maybe you weren't here, Peter, for that, but
Okay.
maybe the last time, that land was kind of designated for school, and it was put on the back burner for a while, so it's nice to have that.
If these houses were to be approved and go forward, we'd start to see a possible need for another site.
And truthfully, to get state support for the new school, we have to be able to show need in terms of capacity. So with the increase of capacity at Sharpsburg, We don't have that capacity. Again, based on the FIAC report, you're nearly at 100% in that region at the elementary school amongst the 3 schools. So you don't have the capacity at this time. But as that development takes off, to say, that the capacity could grow and be available.
Okay.
Was that one of the schools in the CIP that was up for a new school?
I think so.
Was it the middle school or something?
Just because there's no hard.
Consolidation.
Think of it, the EFMP would be Greenbrier.
Okay, yeah.
Mr.
Just out of curiosity, Chad and Jeff, the offer that the developers are making, what's the size of the site?
Well,
Just a
if, I'd have to
close
go back.
proximity.
I believe the report that was shared by the commissioners with the developer of the potential sites, I believe it identified a minimum of 15 acres would be required for a new elementary school. I can't remember what, of the sites that were discussed, I can't remember if they were all exactly 15 acres. They might have been plus or minus a few, but I know that's generally what the
15
committee.
is kind of the minimum that we would want for.
Yes, sir.
Now, would that be the same for a primary? If, per chance, Boyd, what, is there any difference in site size?
It
for a
really depends
primary
on the
versus-
size of the school, sediment pond, all those types of things. But generally, we're looking for 12 to 15 acres for
Thank
any
you.
elementary site.
Anything else?
Perfect, thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Dr. Michael, is there anything?
I have no further information this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Michael. Dr. Bishop, would you like to come forward with personnel action this evening?
Good evening, Mrs. Williams, elected board members. As discussed earlier in closed session, there's several staff changes for your review tonight. At this time, I ask for your approval of today's personnel actions.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move for approval of the personnel actions presented earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Any questions, discussion? Do you?
I just want to make clear that I won't be supporting this based on the conversation we had earlier.
So our vote this evening is on the personnel actions that were recommended to us earlier this evening in closed session. All those in favor? Okay, that's 5 affirmative, and your vote is no, and 1 in opposition. Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Bishop. Next on our agenda, reports to the board. This time we'll have board member committee reports. Mr. Mackley, would you like to begin down there?
Yes.
Thank you.
The Washington County Association of Student Councils will not be meeting until the beginning of May, where we'll be electing our officers for the next school year.
Thank you. Curriculum instruction, Mrs. Murray?
Curriculum and instruction will meet on March 26th at 4 p.m. Here in the board conference room.
Thank you. Facilities, Mr. Bickford, I'm sorry, finance, Mr. Bickford.
We've not had a meeting since the last board meeting. We are having a finance committee meeting on Tuesday, April 30th at 8 a.m.
Facilities, Mr. Gesford.
We have not met, so no report.
Thank you. Human resources.
We will be meeting next Tuesday at 9:15.
Not here for policy committee, and I don't recall our next date. I believe it is April 26th,
What's that?
our next policy committee meeting, and I'm not sure of the time.
Yeah. I thought we were meeting this month.
Did I say April? March, I'm sorry, March 26th. 26th,
Yeah.
yes, but I'm not sure of the time, so that information will be forthcoming.
It's going to be a 2-hour meeting, I know that.
It's going to be a 2-hour meeting. Okay. We'll move on to miscellaneous business, future agenda items. You have a list of future agenda items that came to you in your packet. We have a legislative briefing coming up on April 2nd. And in May, we will be having the 2019 through the 2028 enrollment forecast, and another legislative briefing coming up on May 7th. If you have any items that you would like to see on a future agenda, if you would let a member of the Agenda Planning Committee know, that would be helpful. So let's move to board member comments. Mr. Ridenour, would you like to begin down at that end?
Nothing at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gaspard.
I'd like to thank Rob Havermill and Denise for giving me a tour along with a few other commissioners about a week and a half ago. We spent probably about an hour doing a tour of BISVA, and it was my first tour. It was very nice. I enjoyed it, and I want to thank them for their hospitality.
Thank you, Mr. Gaspard. Mr. Stauffer.
Couple things. One, I've said this many times through the years, but I'm glad the General Assembly of the State of Maryland only meets for 90 days, once a year, because it's amazing some of the bills that come before that body. Secondly, I stayed down, I was down there Monday for a May legislative meeting, and I stayed for the rally. And whether you agree or disagree with the rally's purpose and so forth, it was interesting to see all those marchers, thousands, marching up the inbound lane of Rao Boulevard, or Roe Boulevard, however it's pronounced, and so forth. And it was very nice to be there. I stood most of the time with our WCTA president, Neil Becker. I knew him long before I ever became a board member. We knew each other. And thirdly, I guess there were three things. Sportsmanship should be in all sports. But I was the athletic director at Williamsport High School when they initiated, or we had to initiate, the Unified Sports Program. And I thought, as many as all the other ADs in the county did, they thought that was one of the greatest things that was ever really mandated to do. But if you want to see true sportsmanship, you have to attend some of the unified sports activities. That's pure sportsmanship.
Thank you, Mr. Stauffer. Mr. Bickford.
Just want to thank the staff at Salem Avenue for inviting me to be part of the Read Aloud night. I had a fantastic time and learned that the kids really love the book Olivia. And it was really a nice night and great staff there. And I'll call out the Wax Museum at Jonathan, is it called Wax Museum? But it's the annual event at Jonathan Hager this week. I won't be able to be there, but I know several of my board members will be attending. We got very nicely written letters personalized from students, and I thought that was a nice touch. And that's a wonderful event where kids learn about history by reenacting a historical figure. So
My letter was from Abe Lincoln. I don't know.
Oh, really?
But mine was from Abe Lincoln.
I think mine was from Thomas Edison.
On the,
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Mrs.
that's
Miller.
coming up on the 28th.
Thursday.
You talking about
Thursday.
Thursday?
It's Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going there too. Yeah, it's interesting.
I was also at Read Across America Night with Mr. Bickford. It was a great night at Salem. I also was at Lincolnshire's Read Across America Night. I read for two classes at Williamsport Elementary, Miss Saunders' third grade class and Miss Small's kindergarten class this past Friday. And this coming Friday, I'll be at Funkstown Elementary reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Mr. Mather?
I was also invited to the Wax Museum at Jonathan Hager, so I'd like to thank their teacher and their students for sending those invitations. But I also will not be able to attend due to Student Government Convention in Ocean City.
That's good reason.
I have no comments this evening. So if there's nothing further, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.